Guys, I'm live. Welcome to the session. This is the second slot after the breakfast, and I appreciate your postings on the group about the breakfast. So you can actually add those in the respective unit also. Just see the Hi Sahana. So any question, Sahana, you can put in the chat box. You can actually add those photographs in the respective units. Yeah, this is breakfast of Tatapi. So let's add it in the breakfast pic. It's the 25th. This is Ranga, watermelon. Tulika, banana. Hi Tulika, I'm actually adding your photograph the moment you joined in the breakfast pic unit. It's 25th 01 19. Hello again. Who else are left? This is Sahana, pomegranate. Is it filling, Sahana? How does it feel? I've never had only pomegranate as breakfast. Maybe as a snack side dish I had. Okay, Pooja. Pooja had two types. Yeah, two whole pomegranate, Sahana says. Okay, Tulika says that she had two bananas, not four. Asha, is it too early for you to have breakfast? Okay, now Vikrant, apple, just one apple? Yeah, Vikrant, I have seen that, and it's added also in the respective unit. This is Nandini. Okay, great. I think we have included all. Asha, did Asha upload breakfast? No. Okay. So we are done with the breakfast picture review. So there is a unit tab at the left navigation. You can check the all the units. So the study materials, day 1. Now day 2 will have all those sessions which are being completed will be in day 2 unit. Then day 3, day 4. Then breakfast pics will have these pictures of photographs with the title of name and the date. Name and the date. And the lunch also similarly, dinner also similarly. So this is a good repository that we are making. Good. So we'll make a video also later on of this. And all these videos will be available in YouTube post the course. This group will not exist after maybe 1 week after the course is finished. Will not exist means the members will be removed and the new members will be added. All the contents will be cleared off. So because we don't want to clutter our profiles with lot of groups, so that's the tradition that we follow, right? Right, so by this time Sri Ranga and Pooja also have joined. So great guys, so we can proceed with our next topic. So before which we'll have a silence of 90 seconds as usual. By that time, if you are typing something, keep on typing and post your queries. So we'll take that question. Hi guys, welcome to this second slot of the class. We may have multiple sessions in this till 12 and then we'll resume at 2:30 again. So, right, I get a question also from Sahana. Is it okay to mix fruits and vegetables? So, on the fruit combination, we'll talk that later also, but let's take this question as well. So, there are two aspects we need to consider while combining food. One is the density and the other is the taste of the food. So, now if the tastes are absolutely different, then the combination is not recommended, and the density is also, if it is different, then also the combination is not recommended. Now, the very purpose of the combination we need to understand, because here we are trying to learn how to go deep and implement the things according to our analysis and understanding. So, the combination, primary purpose of the combination is the taste enhancement normally. So, here is a problem in principle, because enhancing the taste, the human enhancement of the taste is a superstition. This actually goes against the norm of the nature, because our voice of the organisms are structured to respond to the taste which are naturally uncombined, and our complete physiological response also depends upon that. Now, the moment we combine it, we actually give multitask to our vitality, because it is designed to address the single taste at a single time in terms of its disintegration and integration. So, the multi-taste means multitask. So, that way it is wrong in the principle. But to understand and implement practically, the density and the taste both needs to be sketched. So, while enhancing the taste, again, because we human do a lot of innovations on the taste side. So, while enhancing the taste, one major aspect we need to, like if at all we are not able to avoid a taste enhancement, then we need to avoid necessarily taste suppression. So, these two things you need to remember, So, one is the taste enhancement, and other is the taste suppression. I think it's double P. So, so the taste suppression should be avoided for sure. If you at all wish to enhance the taste, that's very important, right? So, yes. So, is milk good for health or not? Yes, milk is very good for health if it is from my mother. We'll take that little later, Ranga, because this is really a common topic and a good question indeed. So, milk is definitely good if it is from my mother. If it is from others, it is not good for us. So, milk is good if it is from mother. Not from others. So, just cut the M, it becomes bad. Not from others. Right, guys, so we just had that glimpse of lifespan framework. So this video will walk you through the same presentation that we had. So let's see it for 1 minute. Why it is assimilated identity? We need a lifespan framework which is slow paced life, a neutral span and a fast framework. So 3 phases: birth to physical maturation to physical maturation of the offspring, and then death. Right. We get a question from Sahana: are food intolerances toxemia or wrong lifestyle? So food intolerances, if you explain further, it will be better, but definitely you are talking about reaction to specific food. So reaction to specific food, at times these are correlated wrongly. That I keep hearing this, that the people claim that they cannot digest fruit. That's very surprising, because mankind is structured to eat fruits. Now if they claim that they cannot digest fruits, that means that whenever they eat fruit they have indigestion or a digestion problem. Now this is a wrong correlated aspect, because having fruits enhances their vitality, and vitality tries to throw out the toxins from within, and there is a probability of associated reaction of fruits with cooked items, with the spices. But the fruit alone cannot be cannot be a cause of indigestion. So this correlation of food intolerance needs to be evaluated specifically. It cannot be termed blindly that whether that particular food is a kind of intolerance or not. Right. Right, guys. So continuing our talk on lifespan framework, we'll take up this particular topic, union, unison. This is the first chapter of today's union, unison theory. Now this is, we have covered largely. So I get a response back: raw food is okay in winter or cold temperature. Raw food is always okay, and if it is seasonal, then it doesn't matter which climate it is. So raw is raw, but the seasonal fruits and vegetables are to be kept in mind, So for example, in winter, if you are consuming oranges, that will not give you chilled feeling in fact. And in summer, if you are consuming watermelon, that time you will not feel too much of hot. So those are complementary, the seasonal food are complementary to the seasons, that is made for that purpose. Now we need to sync with the nature's guidelines, then we will be having no problem with the climates also. Right. So guys, any question on the concept of union, unison? Union, unison. Nandini says no video. Yeah, Nandini, your network must be disturbing because it's working at this end. Right. So here we need to again recap this point is 0 point, this point is maturation of physical growth, this point and the death could be anywhere, the third point, right. So here there is no actually doubt at all in this point, this point you may see this is merging the green and red, but for an individual it can be pointed out clearly that this individual has attained his ultimate physical growth. After that the physical growth will not happen, just the routine metabolism will occur to replace the cells. So this is the end of the phase of life. This is the end of the phase of life. Now after that you are ready for building relations actually. Now here we need to understand the growth. We will be having specific topic of expansion of self on the last day, in which we will find that what is the meaning of growth, So see, growth definitely is growing big. The meaning of growth is growing big. From small to big. So here we are talking about matter, absolutely matter. So I am not talking metaphysical. It is absolutely materialistic conclusion that the growth is defined when something grows big, right. Now the physical body grows big over time. So this is what is the physical growth. Now this physical growth is a limited growth. Now the mankind has got this exclusive entity of growth both way, physically and cognitively also, psychologically also. Now what is that? That means the capability. So this is what is the physical growth. Now let's talk about the cognitive growth, because we understand this, that the physical growth is limited. Up to certain point the physical growth will not happen. Now what is cognitive growth? To understand cognitive growth, we need to understand this word relation. The meaning of relation is when you can relate yourself, when you can relate yourself. Now this, what is this relation? Relating. Relating means seeing yourself. Now seeing yourself in somebody is relating yourself. So this is kind of empathetic projection. This is called empathetic projection. When you see yourself in somebody and then you actually find the emotion of that particular person as your own emotion, be it a good emotion or a bad emotion. If it is a paining emotion, then you feel the pain. If it is a kind of enjoyable emotion, you feel the enjoyment. That is what is the relating yourself. Now this is definitely through the self projection, nothing else. We cognitively project ourselves and we see ourselves in that person. I am repeating this particular sentence for a reason, because there is the cue of the growth. If you are seeing yourself in somebody else, then you were one, now you were seeing another person and you are finding yourself in that person's position, then that becomes 1 plus 1, you become 2. So I am talking about materialism here. So when you start relating with people, with any individual, any number of individual, then if you relate with 2 people, then from 1 you become 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals to 3. When you relate with n number of people, then you tend to be infinite, if n is infinite. That's the beauty of cognitive growth, that it is happening in a formless way, but you start seeing yourself in others repeatedly. Now this is a kind of theoretical aspects that I am sharing. This is a theoretical aspect I am sharing, that you see yourself in others and you become from 1 to 2, then in other from 2 to 3, in other 2 to 4, 3 to 4, and likewise. Now how that can be possible? How can I see myself in others? There should be some substantial relation, substantial connection. I cannot do it right away. For example, let's say calculus. You want to do, so can I give Montaj a calculus sum to execute? She is 3-year-old, my daughter. She cannot, because unless she learns it, how can she execute it? She has to learn it, right? Now that learning happens when you connect, you start connecting by default with the people with whom you were not connected before. I clarify. So in the stage, in the preliminary stage, you feel connected with your family, clearly, with your mother, with your father. There are reasons behind, but definitely you feel connected, and this is started by them, and then you respond back. This is started by them, then you respond back, right? So this relation was a kind of exercise, or rather knowing the concept of relation. What is a relation? Now we tell our kids that she is your auntie, he is your uncle, he is bhaiya, she is didi. These kind of things we try to teach them. So these relations we just try to impose, try to propose rather, that this person can be of that relation, and they learn what relation is. So this is a kind of a chapter of social psychology also, but you need to understand that the phase, in the phase, phase, we develop this understanding of relation. Then slowly and gradually, when we grow up, then we look outside, beyond this family zone. The family was a kind of default relation that we come with, then we build relation, and this happens biologically first, So because of the sexual attraction, we get attracted towards the opposite sex primarily. So that time we execute our learning of relation building. So that learning of relation building is executed in the next phase. That time we were not connected physically, there was no physical connection earlier, but we feel attracted towards somebody. Then we end up connecting ourselves physically with that person, and we form union. And yesterday while talking about thermodynamics, I mentioned about a zeroth law, if you remember. Zeroth law is an independent law which was discovered after first, second and third law of thermodynamics, and which says if two bodies are coming in contact to each other, then it will come to an equilibrium state, and there will be a possibility of a third body forming and growing independently. So two bodies, when coming in contact with each other, then they will form an equilibrium, and there will be a possibility of a third body generating out of that union, and that third body will be growing independently. This is called zeroth law of thermodynamics. This is little bit allegorical interpretation, but they say that two thermal body, when come in contact with that with each other, then they will be under thermal equilibrium. There is a concept of temperature coined through that zeroth law. Then there will be a possibility of a third body formed, and which will have its independent journey of independent thermal journey, which is absolutely congruent with the union phase. We see somebody, we start getting attracted towards that person, then we form union, and there is a possibility of forming another body which will grow independently. So this is the exercise of independent relation building beyond the previous connection of family, previous connection or imposed connection of the relation. This is an exercise of the capability, because the initial capability of connecting starts with reproduction. If you go step by step. So in the uno phase, you understand what relation is, and then union phase, you create relations. And for what reason you are creating relation? The reason is the cognitive growth, because the moment you form another entity and you see yourself in that entity, then you become 2, then 3, then 4. That way it can proceed, right? Now this cognitive exercise is not limited to the physical relations. This is just an exercise of that, and there is a concrete reason behind it, because out of that physical relation there is a possibility and natural progression of creating another organism of the same species who you see growing in front of you, and you contribute towards that. And in this process of contribution, without being physically connected, so you formed a union, then you find somebody else with whom you are not physically connected ever, but you feel related. You feel related because of that connection. And there comes the exercise, the immense exercise of this cognitive growth, because every spell you will feel connected to that offspring. And there comes the next phase, because the moment you execute this very effectively, rationally, because the rationality is that, as Tulika raised this question, okay Nandini, I'll take your question. This is a very relevant question. So as Tulika asked that question, that detachment, about the detachment. Now the fact is, you are detached from your child. You are not attached physically, materialistically, you are not attached, right? There was a previous connection of the physiology, the physical contribution you have given, the materialistic contribution you have given, but now you are not attached. Just if you don't see your baby being hurt, you don't feel hurt, right? So there is no physical connection that you will feel hurt automatically if she gets hurt without your knowledge. So there is no physical connection. So this realization is that rational understanding that I am detached already, but it is a natural progression of relating, and whenever you see it, you see yourself and you feel the pain. So this understanding that pain is not amounting to hurt you really, but it is amounting to execute your relating capability. So I repeat, that pain is not amounting to hurt you really, but that pain is amounting to execute your relating capability. This is very much important to understand. So in the union phase, we execute this particular capability of ours to relate with others. Now, as Nandini asked this question, that at the age of 14 years, we will not be able to execute relating with others. This may not be the fact, because if you look at the figure, the illustration, the violet line is overlapping. So the unison phase is that correlation, is the realization of the co-evolution. I will come to that little later in details, but it is necessarily that relating capability which starts at the birth, but it is not predominant. The predominancy occurs in the third phase. So at the age of 14, one may have that kind of knack of relating with others by default. You never know. But natural predominance is the uno phase, which is always me, I, only I is the one, nothing else, and there is no wrong about it. If your child is termed as selfish, that's not a wrong thing. She is programmed to be selfish at that age. So you need to, as a matured parent, you need to be dialectically polishing that kind of knack of relating, because they need to ultimately learn this relating the things, and it has to come from within. It cannot be imposed. So what you can propose is the actions. Care is an action. Love cannot be proposed. Attention is an action. Respect cannot be imposed. Kindness cannot be proposed, but feeling related can be proposed. This is an action. So just teaching your kids that any other gentleman or women who is not related in the family, but introducing them as uncle, auntie, these relations are the actions where the bonding may develop. But the moment you impose that elders should be respected, then their understanding goes for a toss. Because what is respect? I never realized it. Okay, I have to behave this way to respect somebody. They start imitating it. They start morphing respect. There is no inner respect emerges out. So we need to be very careful about this uno phase. Since most of us have passed through the uno phase, so we need to actually understand this uno phase for our upcoming generation. Maybe it's our own children or other children who we wish to guide as teacher, as mentor, or as maybe uncle, auntie. So never ever we should propose any emotion to them. We should not impose any emotion, because imposing emotion is impractical. Imposing emotion is impractical. It's not possible. Either they will fake or they will revolt. You can just certainly propose an action which may have an after effect as an emotion. This needs to be clearly understood. Now, Yes, violet is partly there. You see, it's overlapping. It's from birth onwards, the violet is already there. So unison phase is a fact. There is no denial about the unison phase. Now I am coming to the unison. Now see, unison, the meaning of unison. If you Google or if you refer dictionary, you will find the meaning of unison is working simultaneously, being apart. So that means right now, right here, you guys and me, you guys and I are apart. We are not sitting together, but we are working together. We are listening, talking, communicating simultaneously in different space of location at the same time, right? And this is a fact. This is a universal fact, that the unison is a fact. Everybody of us are working simultaneously and contributing to each other. I am very specific about this, because see, if I talk about this camera, this lens, somebody has invented long back. The structure of the mobile phone or the camera was invented by somebody, and that person is contributing in this journey, in this execution. Mark Zuckerberg's team, I don't have a big marketing team, just so you know. So whenever somebody asks that, so I don't have team and I have team, both are true, because Mark Zuckerberg is my team. I do a lot of marketing on Facebook, and who is doing that? I am not doing. I may be just sharing something or enabling some kind of AdWords, but that is being executed by a big team sitting at the Facebook office. They have automated that. So they all are working in my journey. If I claim that I am doing it myself, then it's a limited conclusion. It is the unison that is working, and that is the fact of life. And the moment you realize it, and the realization, realization has got degrees. So the first level of realization, we may feel that, okay, I have realized. It's not enough. Next day you will find it's going deeper. Next day you will be finding further going deeper. So it's an endless journey, that realization, the spiral realization, and this realization becomes effective if we go stepwise. Why? Because if we keep any gap in between, if we do not satiate ourselves, satiate our existence, that's very important. Satiation, what is the meaning of satiation? Satiation is the homeostatic existence. Satiation is connected to the homeostatic existence of the organism. If the organism is not neutral in its existence, then it is disturbed. It behaves unsatiated. So that satiation, understanding of satiation is very much important. At the phase, the food is the primary satiation. The quality of food is the primary satiation. Now, quality of food we understood through the voice of the organism explanation, that what are the right food, and we will be exploring that further in the afternoon sessions. Now when that happens, if we do not satiate ourselves with the quality food, now here the satiation is not merely the taste satiation, it is the quality satiation that matters the most. So if we do not satiate ourselves quality wise in the phase, then lifelong we'll crave for food. We'll crave for food and will suffer physical problems. We'll suffer physical problems a lot if we do not satiate ourselves, because that satiation will enable us to repair. This is very important aspect to understand, that the Uno phase we need to observe and practice very keenly and dialectically, understanding the connection between life and nature. And nature has got every steps with some kind of programmatic, flawless programmatic execution. So if there is a vacuum in between, no matter how great you are executing the unison phase or union phase for that matter, you will have the blow on your physical health. So Uno phase is the groundwork, is the foundation of a healthy life. We need to honor it with deeper understanding of its importance, because galloping will never satiate us, and this will be a big problem. And I gave the examples of many so-called religious leaders, those who excelled for their unison executions. They are great people to relate with people, and they have done a lot of works for the universe, for the mankind, but they suffered the health blow, which is the primary purpose of the life. So we need to understand this. I get some questions here. Okay, some 13-year-olds become sexually active, get married before Uno is over in our society. What are the ramifications in other two phases? Yes, I am coming to that, Nandini. So Sahana asks, will cognitive understanding on this lack of satiation in Uno phase help in union if one did not have the right nourishment? Will cognitive understanding? No. Right. So Nandini, I will take your question a little later, because the next slide is about that only. So yeah, Sahana says that Uno phase, if somebody has missed the Uno phase execution properly, then will the cognitive development will cover up the union phase executions or not? Now here, see, the cognitive development will not help, but what will help is the repairing of the Uno phase. That is possible at any time. The moment you realize that there was a lack in the Uno phase, now it is the time I need to reverse it. So it is not the fact that since my childhood was not so aware and I had a bad Uno phase, now I am lost. No, that is not the fact. The moment you are aware, that awareness should push you to change the patterns of the inputs, so that you have the tool of this metabolism throughout the life. So with that, the cell replacement can happen and you can better your health. Ultimately, the union phase needs some materialistic support. So we are actually, I and Victoria Moran, my colleague, she is in Australia, we are actually planning to float a course on mindful procreation. You know, mindful procreation is that when you decide to procreate, before that you need to prepare your body before the conception, because once the conception happen, then you can't do much about the vitality, you know. So so that way, that repairing of the Uno phase is possible through the materialistic route. It is not that you become aware and your matter gets nourished. It never happens that way, because the conversion of formless into form is humanly not possible. This needs to be understood. Right, yes. So, okay, Tulika asks that reactions in terms of anger, irritation, jealousy, sadness, are these an inevitable outcomes of union phase if we do not see ourselves in others? Expectations with people around create such reactions, thus hampering the experience of the true union phase. Yes, Tulika, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Now, here is the catch, the union phase execution, if you are aware, if you are making yourself aware about the unison and the beauty of the relating with others, and since the unison starts with the birth, we have that capability, just that the predominance is not there. The moment you become aware, then it depends upon your execution. It does not depend on the type of the person you are relating to. This is not dependent on the person with whom you are relating. When you are aware about this beauty of relating with others mentally, I am talking about the mental connection. So, here what you are trying to tell is that in the union phase, if you cannot relate with the person with whom you have formed or you are forming union, if that is the case, then the formation, the physical connection is very minuscule, right? So, the mental connection, ultimately the cognitive growth is the objective in this phase. So, in that cognitive growth, you need to understand the beauty of connecting with others irrespective of the person, how that person is. What is the philosophical disposition of that person may be. So, it is your interest to connect with others to satiate the unison phase, which you have understood cognitively. So, the problem of connecting, which we will address tomorrow specifically, because unless we understand the conscious portion and the beyond conscious portion connection, that is the primary aspect tomorrow, we will not be able to understand this clearly. Then also I will just giving you some hint that unison phase is your interest ultimately, that you need to connect with others. Now, suppose in the union phase you are not able to relate mentally with that person, it is a problem in you. Ultimately, problem in terms of that not executing, it's a blocking for you, it's a blockage for you, and that blockage needs to be overcome by you, not by changing the person. So, it is not the circumstances or the individual which will block you, it is your own knack which will block you. So, the moment you unblock yourself, you will see a light, and you will find that it is very easy to connect, because we are already connected. That is the law of unity, that is the metaphysical law of unity. We will cover in the unison day after tomorrow. But ultimately, we are structured to remain connected cognitively, just that our conscious blocking does not allow us to connect. So, we need to remove that conscious blockings. The other day somebody was asking that is nature cure inevitable? It's a mandatory. Answer is no, absolutely not. Understanding nature and syncing life with nature is absolutely programmed unless we block it, unless we suppress it. Now, these all initiative is needed because we have drifted. Because of our conscious intervention. Now, this has also got a positive side of it. It is not that I am blaming this particular evolution, but it's a phase that we have to sail through to overcome it and go to the next level. But definitely this initiative is for repairment of the drifts which we have chosen consciously. Now, consciously we need to reverse it. Right. So Sahana asked that how do we reverse or repair phase? That's not undo, phase. So see, that is what the phase repairing, as I explained, that when we start improving our inputs, because phase is necessarily connected to the inputs. Union phase primarily connected to the activities, and primary activities is the sexual understanding and execution both. And then unison phase is a thought related aspects. It's a completely formless aspect, formless management. So the form management is the phase repairment. Now your growth might have been hampered through the wrong choice of inputs during the phase, but you have a body now and you have a continued metabolic process. So using that metabolic process with the current structure, you can improve the quality and you can give, because ultimately during the union phase you will be just donating a cell and you will be feeding that cell as female, and for male it is just donating a cell. Then the zygote forms. So that cell, if it is improved, then the both cell will absorb a better quantum of vitality, because vitality we don't contribute, we don't get vitality from the parents, neither we transfer vitality to the offspring, we just help them to get a better quantum of vitality. If the forms are good, then the vitality absorbed will be better. So that way a so-called weak person can gift a better cell which will absorb better quantum of vitality. Now this is Nandini's question, I suppose. What was the question? 13-year-olds become sexually active and get married. Right. So, so what she was saying is, at the phase, if somebody becomes sexually active and forms union, get married, what is the impact of that? Definitely there is there are a lot of impacts, because this is merging of the phases before time, where the clear-cut indication of the end of phase is the physical growth. Unless the physical growth occurs, because the body, see, it's a completely vitality understanding. Your vitality is involved in growing you, how it can contribute to the next generation, because it is completely engrossed in certain work. You cannot take that out and ask the vitality to do some other work. It's a lever force that is within you, which is building your body now with lot of sincerity. Now the moment you go to that level without completion of this physical growth, then it cannot contribute a better cell. That's a fact. Now everything can be repaired for a better state, but definitely few things are irreversible. We need to accept that. Like in Sahana's question, that after we realized that the phase was not executed properly, if whether we will be able to perform union better or not, that's absolutely possible, and that's a better option actually. If we had a bad phase, then there is a chance to see and contribute in a better phase for the offspring. Now the structure that you have attained, that cannot be reversed. That structure which is attained by your body, that cannot be improved in terms of the size, in terms of the kind of physical strength. So what you can improve is the cells, cellular structure, and the health and overall sense of life. Oh, there are a lot of questions. I think females reach unison phase more early than men. Yes, so unison phase. See the comparison, Vikrant says that the females reaches unison phase more early than men. It is uniquely performed, one cannot claim for early or late, for early or being late. So this needs to be understood that way. So let's not compare who is early and who is late, because my life is my life. Next, Nandini says that, so how is it that in polygamy there are multiple connections, so multiple partners are programmed? Okay, so this is a needful question, whether what is the nature's call for this polygamous aspect. Now capability wise we can be polygamous, there is no problem in that, right? Now the problem in terms of vitality is, whenever you are up for any physical relation, your complete being is up for procreation, reproduction versus procreation. Now when that doesn't occur, then your vitality gets a blow, because it was readying itself for that purpose, but it is going for a miss. Now on this your vitality gets depleted, number one. Now polygamy is absolutely possible or naturally possible if you are involved in the procreation with all the partners. Now this is again an absurd, because procreation is a journey. Procreation is a journey. Now in that journey you need to be involved actively. You cannot just form an union and skip it. If you skip, then you innervate. You need to be involved cognitively. You need to get the update of the procreation off and on, involved physically, mentally, completely in the process. If you don't do that, you get innervated from inside, from within. That's the program of mankind. Now in the polygamous cases, it is not possible, because you cannot split yourself. You are already in a continuum. How can you be a part of other continuum? Those who claim, they actually bluff themselves that they can be part of different continuums at the same time. This is impractical, and this is actually, I am not talking about any ethical things, but it is problematic for the individual vitality conservation. If I am trying to claim, I am harming myself, nobody else, more than that. So definitely polygamous execution is not possible for mankind, because mankind is meant to procreate, and procreation is a continuum. So on the topic, I must say that if you are executing sexual activities with the partner with whom you have a procreation going on, that is a beautiful juncture, because it will. So it's not that fact that the number of times you make love, you will procreate, right? It's not the rational thing, but every time you copulate with the person with whom you are in a journey, the love increases, and with the love, the quality of procreation gets better. And it should be emerging, it should not be enforced kind of activity, right? We'll talk in details on this tomorrow, right? So there is another question, it seems. What is the percentage of genetic and what is the percentage of lifestyle? So I would rather ask why you are asking this question, because genetic, for us, I cannot change my gene. I cannot change my genes, whatever I have received. So gene in terms of the vitality quantum, whatever I have received. Now why to bother? So largely it is 100% lifestyle, nothing else. Or rather I can say 95% lifestyle and 5% environment. Environment is again a community effort. you cannot risk yourself if the community is not improving. So lifestyle is literally 100%, so I am just discounting 5% for the environment. And genetic is 0%, yeah. Because you have already got whatever is cast is cast. Now for your own offspring, you can better the quality of your cells to gift a better cell to the offspring so that that offspring can have a better quantum of vitality. So that's a responsibility that we can take up. But for us, it's no matter. What is the genetic contribution? Yes. Tulika, then how can one reverse conscious blocking in oneself as everyone are programmed in a specific way due to their unique phase? How can one reverse conscious blocking? So this conscious blocking can be reversed in the same route, that you need to start with analyzing the things and you need to start understanding the things. Then that understanding will bring a flexibility in your conscious arena, and that flexibility will bring the emergence of better consciousness. And this is actually again tomorrow's topic, that conscious and beyond conscious aspect. So see, the beyond conscious aspect is programmed and it is beautifully programmed. Just the problem that occurs when we block that with our conscious efforts. Now this whole game of this framework is bringing our consciousness aligned to the beyond conscious. We cannot change the beyond conscious, we should just unblock it. So that conscious alignment is needed, and that can happen through rational analysis. Other than rational analysis, because that's the building block, that's the foundation of going beyond. Now if we just fake that we are going beyond, that's something else. But without analytical approach, going beyond is not possible for mankind, because mankind is primarily programmed with that reasoning capability, and we need to execute that reasoning capability to go beyond. Further, going beyond is the objective, definitely, undoubtedly, unarguably. But going beyond needed a support of reason. That's very important. Okay, so Sahana says it was with respect to giving the best cell to offspring. Yes, with best cell to offspring, it is 100% to start with. Sahana, I understand your question, that your genetic question, the percentage question. At that point in time, it is 100%. Because the cell that you are contributing at the beginning doesn't have any other environment or the lifestyle formed. It is 100%, absolutely 100%. That is why I was talking about that mindful procreation course for the people, those who wish to procreate. Now see, mere reproduction and unmindful procreation is something else we are not talking about. Here we are talking about the mindful approach to the life, including procreation, where we observe our offspring in a dialectical manner and we support it without blocking it. Right, so Robert Sapolsky talks about this. Would be interesting to have dialectical discussion outside. Okay, I don't know, I have never heard Robert Sapolsky. Yeah, looking forward on this discussion. Right, so so this is a case of galloping the union, where the union phase is galloped. Phase was taken care of with proper inputs and exercise of reason and everything, say for example, and then you gallop the union for no reason. The reasonable galloping could be just galloping without this thing, without the capability having, the biological capability. If you are born eunuch, then you lack the biological capability, or for some reason you don't have the biological capability to procreate. So that's understandable. That galloping can be adjusted naturally, but you have chosen due to some conscious construct of your mind that no, I am deciding not to procreate because of this reason. That's very tiny little reason that you are having, because the conscious portion is very tiny portion out of the whole existence, because we are programmed by the nature to procreate. And why I am so confident and talking about this, I can relate myself, because I and Rakhi were together since 2001, and we are very keen about being child free. We had that kind of understanding and tenacity to remain child free, till we found this amazing understanding of nature, that for what we are programmed, we need to execute that to actually enrich our life. And that is the goal. Enriching life cognitively is the goal. Enriching life is not retained in the materialistic, the human-made materialistic pleasures. It is absolutely a cognitive aspect, and that can be attained through the procreation the best. So, galloping the union phase also gives a lot of setback on our wellness, physical and mental both, because program wise we are ready, our whole existence is ready to procreate, reproduce, and we deny that consciously, which is a tiny little existence out of the whole existence, and we block it. So, I am repeating, if there is some biological issues of not able to procreate, that's understandable and adjustable. Nature will adjust that, but other thing nature will not adjust, and the individual will get the blow on the vitality for sure. Now, the third case is definitely the unison, the galloping the unison. Now, if you are limited to the uno and union, okay, so one more thing actually I need to mention about here, that the union phase, when the vacuum in the union phase, one is the chosen to avoid it completely, that case I have discussed. Another case could be perversion, when you are perverted in terms of your sexual understanding, that time also it is a huge toll on your vitality. So, that is also amounting to the galloping of union phase, because union is for the procreation, and through the perversion also one can skip that union phase. So, that galloping also is a great restriction for the wellness. So, we need to actually, these can be iterated further, like uno and union both are galloped and unison is reached. Then this one is the unison is completely vacuum, just one is confined to uno and union phase. So, there will be a lot of irrationalities as far as the food is concerned, as far as the sexual understanding is concerned, and the lifelong the person will be craving for food and sex both without any satiation. So, satiation in each phase is very much needed to have a better state of health, if biologically possible. So, if biologically possible, cognitively we should not deny it. Right. So, yeah, so Asha asked that what about adoption? Right, Asha, great question, because the adoption is a great way of experiencing the procreation if somebody is not biologically capable. This is a great way, but definitely the biological procreation cannot be replaced by adoption for sure. That cannot be replaced by adoption, because that has got a programmed execution of that relating the things. The kind of pain that you feel to your own child, you cannot, I repeat, you cannot have the similar pain in the union phase for other child. In unison phase you can have, But in the union phase, if you have the similar pain, then you have some problem. Because programmatically, you are programmed to feel pain of your own child, not other child. You need to identify this. What is what you need to identify and acknowledge. Otherwise, there is a toll on the vitality and understanding, rational understanding of the life and nature and all this stuff will go on. Right? Thanks. It's a great question, in fact. So we can still bring up the child with our partner. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Homosexuality is genetic. What about the union for those? Yes, it's a biological issue. It's a biological issue. I refrain to use the word problem because see, problem, saying something as problem is a myopic conclusion, because your problem may not be a problem for others. For whom you are saying that this is a problem, it may not be perceived as problem, and it should not be perceived as a problem also by them. But definitely it is not general. That is unarguably acceptable. But for that person, union phase is needed, because that cognitive exercise of relation building needs to be exercised for a better state of health. Definitely that condition applies. So if the homosexual partners are serious about their life and their wellness, then they should go for adoption and bring up a child. So, and pedophilic also does not want to procreate. Yes. So this is a kind of this thing, I mentioned that word, perversion. So sexual perversion, pedophilic state of mind is a sexual perversion, and that needs attention a lot, and a serious attention to reverse it rationally. Otherwise, this is a great problem for the individual who is pedophile. So definitely. There's another question from Tulika. Is menopause the end of union phase and beginning of unison phase in women? It's not so, it's not so, because see, suppose you have a baby at the age of X, and after 1 year you have that menopause instance. So after that you will not have capability to reproduce, but the reproduction which had happened just 1 year back is continued. It is not the end of union phase. So mathematically you try and understand, right? It is absolutely that way. This point, I'll just so this point is the physical growth of the offspring, the end of the physical growth of the offspring. That is the end of the union phase, because you cannot swerve from your taken up responsibility. So responsibility is a harsh word, but that's the final exercise of your this being related to others. So you are doing an exercise of how to learn to relate with others in the phase of union. That is what we are doing. So the moment that offspring becomes independent, then we can look out for unison's phase. Right, guys. So we'll take a short break for 5 minutes, and then we'll resume at 11:25. Now it is 11:20, right? So that ends the unison theory, and we'll resume with the next topic. Thank you.